You do.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. We have Dr. Michelle here. Let's give her a warm welcome. Today, she will be providing non-woo-woo spiritual practices for business, but let's see how non-woo-woo we can get. But please come up to the stage. Dr. Michelle, give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Melissa. Get my music and bring it over. So good to see you all here this beautiful morning, and grateful. I really loved hearing all the different businesses that you are a part of and the things that you're doing, and how lovely it is to come together in an environment like this and socialize and connect and really support each other and be a stand for each other of whatever it is we're doing in life, that we are growing it, or whatever it is we want more of it, that we are attracting it. And so as has been said, I made an attempt to create a message today in the 4 hours I have with you to, just kidding. I scared some of you, didn't I? You're like, oh, I gotta work. To really attempt to come up with some non-woo-woo ideas, but I probably failed in that regard. I probably have. I have some ideas, some suggestions, some invitations, and we're also going to do some practices together. So I just want to set you up right now that it's not going to just be you sitting there listening to me. There's going to be interaction with each other and an opportunity to practice at least one exercise. So I was exploring the concept of woo-woo, and I found a wonderful test that you can take to discover how woo-woo you are. So I'm going to give it to you, and you can decide. You want to keep track of how many of these things might apply to you, and then you'll know how woo-woo you are. And that's how I know that I fail at being non-woo-woo. I just am. I have a friend who calls me woo-woo wackadoo. And so, so first of all, you might be woo-woo if you know how to clean your chakras, right? You might be woo-woo if prayer flags adorn your backyard. You might be woo-woo if your voicemail greeting says, Namaste. You might be woo-woo if you talk to your plants, yeah, maybe, but really woo-woo if they actually answer, right? You might be woo-woo if you use the words resonate or vibration in your daily speech. You might be woo-woo if you own a deck of animal, spirit, angel, tarot cards, or any of the above. You might be woo-woo if you've consulted a pet psychic. If you have an altar in your office, if you know who you've been in past lives, yeah, so waiting, and you know who you'll be in future lives, possibly. Oh, yeah, good, okay, great. You might be woo-woo if you won't date someone based on what sign they are, right? You might be woo-woo if you've embraced your inner child. Yeah. All your vacation time is spent on retreat. Anybody who does that? Yeah. I think that your leader is very woo-woo back there. You own several crystals and believe they wield special healing. Your doggy goes to doggy yoga. Does anybody have does your doggy go to doggy yoga? Oh, okay. I was like, really? I didn't even know there was such a thing. This is my favorite one. You might be woo-woo if you know Tantra is not something a 2-year-old throws. You might be woo-woo if you've been to a psychic or seen a palm reader or clairvoyant or channeler. You might be woo-woo if you are a psychic, palm reader, or channeler. I know there's one in the crowd. You might be woo-woo if you own a pair of reflexology slippers. I've never heard of those, but that sounds interesting. If you have watched What the Bleep more than twice. Yeah. If you regularly sage your house, car, or workspace. If you feng shuied your house, car, or workspace. If you regularly consult your dead ancestors and live by their advice. Okay, good, so you know what dowsing is. Yep, okay. You spend more time talking to your spirit guides than your real friends. Just a couple more. You base your life decisions on whether or not Mercury is in retrograde. Oh, yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? You know your number on the Enneagram, your soul type, and your Ayurvedic type. Yeah, okay. When the officer asked you what happened, you responded, I manifested an accident. And finally, you found yourself thinking, doesn't everyone, to most of these questions, these queries. So I really have a saying that I say often that I will repeat here today, that woo-woo really is in the eye of the beholder, right? When it comes to improving our lives in any way, shape, or form, growing our business, having a better experience, being happier in the field that we've chosen, in the career path that we're on, attracting customers or clients to us, what we might do in that regard and how we might be in that regard that would seem to be woo-woo is really in the eyes of the beholder. So in my own personal history, I will say that I am a career minister. I've been a minister for 32 years, and I started out in my working life. Basically, I worked at my mother's real estate office at Moore & Company many years ago, setting up showings for clients to see homes. I worked at Target as a cashier and in the customer service department, where I scheduled and made sure that the team was full and dealt with all the crazy customers around the holidays that wanted refunds, and the people who came in with their shoes that had been worn for 5 years and wanted their money back, things like that. And then I worked briefly in a second mortgage loan company. Then I started working here at Mile High Church, where I was the receptionist and answered telephones while I was going to college, and eventually stepped into ministerial school. In ministerial school, they really teach us a lot about consciousness. We grow our consciousness, we grow ourselves, we grow our awareness of that principle. And way back then, there wasn't as much emphasis on the business aspect of having a spiritual community. And so the current school that we have here, the ministerial training that I'm the dean of, has evolved, and there are more business classes, but a lot of our ministers are like me, that either they had a business and they step into ministerial spiritual leadership or nonprofit leadership, or they're like me and they've never had a business. I never had a business. I was never an entrepreneur. But over the years, I've really seen that there are business elements to this life of church we have here. Just like business honoring spirituality has all these logistical things that you've got to take care of to make a space when people arrive to experience it. You've got to have a team of people who gather together, who talk about the business elements of how are we going to conduct ourselves, what energy are we going to create, how are we going to attract new people to our group and to our endeavor. And what I find often is that there are traditional business concepts that I was taught over the years. When I was in my center in Arizona, Scottsdale, for 17 years, I would say that the biggest point of criticism that I got as a minister was often from board members who were very powerful business people who would come and join our board and love me and love my speaking or my teaching or who I was, but would say, you're not a business person. You don't understand business. And I will admit that for a long time that hurt my heart a lot, because I thought, well, that is kind of true. I've never had a business, owned a business. I've never been an entrepreneur really, although in many respects, ministry out in the middle of the desert felt a little bit like entrepreneurship a few times, kind of a lonely, if you build it, they will come kind of thing. And I was fortunate that I had other business minds and other people around me, but I've come to believe in the life of church, nonprofit world, and I'm going to assert today, I've come to believe that there is this beautiful alchemy of ideas about business and practicality, marketing ideas, financial ideas that blend with spiritual principle. And so I would say to you today, what I see we are at Mile High Church, what I see business honoring spirituality is It's a spiritual organization doing business. So there's a business element of it, which people don't like about nonprofits, right? We have no problem going to Target or Costco and then putting a price on their product. And we may not like the price, but we pay the price. And we may wish that they would lower their prices. But by and large, we don't disagree with the notion that that business would actually want our money. We understand that there's an exchange of money that takes place so that Target can provide us the products that we want. But what we tend to want to do, and so those of you who are in nonprofit business or entrepreneurial businesses, we tend to be more skeptical of those businesses and actually sometimes flail at their attempts to say, we would like you to join BHS and pay your fee. We would like you to contribute to the life of this church. We would like you to contribute so that this nonprofit can do the work that they want to do in the world. And we have this kind of sometimes undercurrent of, well, they shouldn't be asking me for money. And some of us in the business that we're in also may feel very defended, I would call it, about finances, and not very centered in that. And so what I'm really getting at is, as much as I tried today to say, I'm going to go with this talk about non-woo-woo business practices, I can't see how we can do business and be successful without the combination of the two, without using and looking at, like here at Mile High Church, we've had to look and be realistic about, okay, since the pandemic and things shutting down, it's completely changed in many areas of our church how we do things. Certain areas have not bounced back. What do we do about that? How do we meet a demand of a new experience that people are saying, hey, just like maybe there's a lot of people right now that are sitting at home in their jams. They didn't get up, put their makeup on, or put their hair together, get dressed up nice, and it's just more comfortable and convenient for them to be at their work, busy listening to BHS, and people are doing that with church, and that's a cool thing, but at the same time, we're missing the opportunity to engage personally, to really be connected personally. We're missing the opportunity to circulate and make sure that the things that we love continue to be successful. So it's a whole new way of looking at things, right? A whole new way of trying to be successful. And so I find myself in this industry in a creative space. And you may be finding that too. Many of our businesses since that time that has so impacted so many of us may be having to think outside the box, maybe having to question everything we thought we knew about what it would take to market my business, to get customers, to be successful. Maybe I've had to completely rethink that. And rather than feeling victimized by that, my first invitation is to feel the opportunity of that. And to recognize and to look at, just like I had to look at one point, yeah, I'm not a business person, but I've now been in the church business since 1985. I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've watched a lot of people succeed and fail. I've watched choices being made, and I've learned, and I've myself made decisions that have worked and made other decisions that haven't worked. I have invited certain things to happen, and they were awesome, and other things weren't. And to learn from all of that and to recognize and honor that no matter whether we work for a company or we work on our own, this work of being in business is like our life. There's always opportunity to grow. There's always opportunity to evolve. There's always places where we're more successful than not. And I think sometimes what we miss is seeing how that translates everywhere we go. Like lately, I've noticed that in my work life and my business life, the places where I get stopped or where I feel a lack of confidence, or the places where I feel confusion or I feel resistant, are the same places in my personal life. That it's not like, well, in my personal life, I'm really good at this, and in my business life, I'm really good at that. Now, some people who may feel really skilled in one area or the other may have a strong distinction, but here's the common denominator of our business and our life, us, right? We're the common denominator. And so I think one of the first things, one of the best business practices of all, when it comes to creating, building, and growing a business and growing our work, is to continually look at myself, look at my beliefs, look at my actions, to be rigorously honest about the ways of approach that I am taking, the places where I might have ignorance, where I need help, where I need a little coaching, where I need a little assistance, and to come to places like this, to be willing to be vulnerable, to, as you're all doing, be willing to listen to speakers who might have specific elements of expertise in marketing or in other realms that we can take, just like you're doing today, and to be teachable. No matter, just like me, I could stand up here and say, well, I've been a minister for 33 years, I'm an expert, gosh darn it. Maybe in certain ways, and other ways, because of what we've gone through collectively, I feel kind of like I'm starting all over in many respects, that I'm in a whole new industry in many respects. And so it's requiring me, instead of being resistant to that, it's requiring me to be willing to be teachable, to say these are new times, it's a new day, there are new opportunities. How might we approach this differently than we always have, so that we can think outside the box and so that we can be of greater service? So the first thing that I want to talk about, 3 things I want to talk about today. I want to talk about, and they are a little more woo-woo, they are about being centered, about how we are faithful to ourselves and our business, and about our ethics and being ethical. Those are the 3 things that, if you were to ask me, are the core foundational principles of, to me, what the ideal is people who are happy in their work, joyful in what they're doing and contributing to life, and being of service to other people. Those 3 elements, I think, are the most important elements. And so where they start is being centered in myself. And so what I was saying a little while ago about recognizing that who I am, wherever I go, there I am. Whether I'm talking with a client, whether I'm working on my website, whether I'm working with a vendor who's helping me build my graphics, or helping me do my marketing, or helping me understand something, wherever I go, there I am. And that the places where I might be arrogant, or the places where I might be feel unworthy of being loved or supported, these all they're active in the life of my business. And so I think that the best business people are people who are personally growing, who are creating a sense of centeredness for themselves. Because, see, I call it spiritual bad breath, if you will. It's like Pigpen in the Snoopy comics. Pigpen, that little character that always had dust and dirt all over around him. You know, some more woo-woo people would call it your aura. In our teaching, we would call it our consciousness, that as I said, wherever we go, there we are. And so when we are sitting down to work on our business, when we are making cold calls, when we are working with a client, when we are hoping and wishing for greater success, everything that we are and everything that we aren't is in that process right there and then. You can't escape it. You and I, spiritual bad breath is, I don't get to constantly indulge that little jerk critical voice in my head that constantly bemeans me or bemoans me, or that criticizes me, and feel that horrible feeling, like going out into my business world and feeling like, oh, I don't know if I have what it takes, and I don't know if this is a good idea, I don't know. Hi, would you like to buy my widget that I'm selling? It doesn't work like that, does it? It doesn't. You can shine it on all you want. You can dust it off, and you can be the best, highest version of yourself. But when we are with other people, when we are making attempts energetically for the work that we do to be received in the world, who we are, how we are, what we're thinking about ourselves, what we're thinking about what we're doing, what we're thinking about our product, it's in it. It's not woo-woo, it's in it. It's physics, actually. It's physics showing us every particle of energy is there. And so if it's negative, it can be what we call spiritual bad breath. And so I think a centered person in any realm is somebody who is rigorously honest with themselves about, what do I need to work on to feel more valuable in the workplace? How is it that I could love and honor myself? I know that when someone is doing what they're doing and has that energy of unworthiness, I can sense it, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. I know if someone is doing business and they're afraid, they're desperate in any way, shape, or form to get my money or get me to sign up for something, I rebel against that. I feel more comfortable with somebody, a vendor especially, who would come to me and say, let me give you a bid, here's what we can do for you, we would love to work with you, we're sure you're going to make the right choice. And then if we don't choose them, says, great, I'm glad you found somebody who you love, who you're happy with, and we bless you on your way, rather than somebody who wants to desperately get my business. That desperation that comes with business, I'm just going to say, you probably all know this, it's the most horrible bad breath of all. It pushes customers and clients away from us. It repels people from us. And so the opposite of that is being centered and knowing what I have to offer is born out of my awareness that my customers and clients and I find each other. Just like I have to do that here at Mile High Church. I have to understand that the people who come to our community, who are a part of our community, feel in resonance with our community. And for me, the most centered place I can be is if someone makes a phone call to me, which has happened, especially in the last few years. Hi, I have decided to go to another church because I feel more comfortable there, that I can say, I am so happy you have found what serves your heart, because that's what I want more than anything. If I say that the core of my heart is for people to feel spiritually alive, and they're at Mile High Church feeling that, awesome. But if they need to be somewhere else, awesome. I want them to be where they want to be. Now, I will admit that sometimes when it's someone I know more personally, it stings a little more. I've had to work on it. I've had to love them and forgive that whole journey and forgive myself for if I felt like I did anything that might have pushed them away, or we did anything that might have pushed them away. I had to do that work, of course, but I do that work diligently so that I can really truly set somebody free into their greater experience. And so in business, that sense of desperation that is born out of fear and often is born out of, I need to be successful, or I need to make money, or I got to get a paycheck. That you've all felt that. Have you felt that with business people before? Or even with a personal relationship, somebody who just wants to be your friend so badly, they want to be near you. And it's almost like you go, whoa, 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 what's that about? It's like, I take a step back sometimes with that. Like, what is that about? And so there's this ease and grace and an understanding that with the billions of people on this planet, there's plenty of people to be at my church and be happy and fulfilled and successful. There's plenty of people to be in my business. And I have to do my work to smooth out any fear in me, any sense of desperation, any sense of unworthiness, any sense of spiritual bad breath. I believe so much that fear can sometimes rule the day that I know that I'm going to do this later, but I went to a workshop to write a book. And they said the goal of the workshop was to write a book that the listener or the reader could hear or read in 3 hours or less, that would help solve a problem that you feel is a big issue on the planet. And so my book is about fear, because I thought if I could eradicate anything on the planet, like take a magic wand and just go, whoop, I would eradicate fear. I would invite people to transcend their fears, to resolve their fears, because I think that when we're fearless, doesn't mean reckless, but when we're fearless, when we know and we're centered in our business and we know I have something valuable that I can offer people, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it the very best offering that I can make it, And I'm going to make it be at a reasonable cost to people where I can survive. I'm going to have business practices that are ethical and profound, and I'm going to give this to the world, and I'm going to trust that the people that it's for will be a yes, and the people that it's not for will be a no, and I will bless them on their way. Like, that's fearless business to me. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, also encourages us to use the power of our imagination with regards to our business dealings, to not only heal that which we need to heal, but use the inner life that we have to expand and see ourselves expanding. He says, suppose one wishes more activity in his business, more success. Every day he should see his place filled with people, see them looking at and finding pleasure in his merchandise, see them comparing prices and realizing that he is offering good values, see them delighted with the service he is giving, see them cheerful, beaming, expansive as they enjoy the atmosphere of his place. See the uplift with which the spirit of his good will give them. Make a mental picture of it all. We are dealing with intelligence, and we should recognize the power we are working with, realizing our oneness with it. At all times, we are either drawing things to us or pushing them away. In the average individual, this process goes on without his knowing. But ignorance of this law does not change its result. So we get to think about, from a centered place, am I centered more in being afraid of what's going to happen in my business, or am I centered more in what's possible in my business? Am I centered more in a desperate sense of I've got to make money at this, or am I centered more in I want to be of service to people in this? And these differences create an atmosphere that is either magnetic or repelling. And that we have to be willing to look at that and be with that. If we are acting from center, my bottom line with this one is we're listening to our inner guidance from a centered place. We're doing our healing work. We're reading and exploring, I think, and allowing reading that we do and the study that we do and the coaching that we get to help us stay centered in what some people in business would say your big why. Why am I even doing this? What compels me to want to bring this service forward? In hearing what you all are doing, I hear lots of very powerful ways of being of service to people in the world and making their lives better and uplifting them and uplifting the energy with which they live, move, and have their being, which is great. And being in places like this to network and to get good ideas. These are some ways that we can act and be centered and allow ourselves to experience centeredness. And with centeredness, then, I think, comes acting from faith, which I've already leaned into, having a balance and trust that that which I am offering to the world is mine to do and that it blesses others, and assuring myself that that's what I'm about to do. We were blessed a number of years ago to work with a great consultant on the Mile High Church Foundation. The Mile High Church Foundation is this long-term, I guess you could call it long-term savings account to assure the financial health of Mile High Church. And so when we worked with him, one of the first things he challenged us to do, which I thought was beautiful and really resonates with me, is to focus on how can I be of greater service today? How can I be of greater service to the people who are saying yes to the foundation, to the people that I'm talking to? How can I be of greater service? And so we've really taken that on and really seen that we want to provide services for people. I have a huge passion, having been through so much death and dying in the last few years, that whether or not people want to make Mile High Church part of their will or their estate, I don't care. I want all of us to have plans in place for the moment that we step off this earthly plane, because I watched the devastation and chaos that can happen. And so in talking about that a lot in the foundation, we've realized that part of being of service is just helping as many people as we can to make those plans, whether it's referring people to professionals who do that work, whether it's having seminars and workshops to support people and getting that done. And in being of greater service, as well as bringing in a really great employee at the church who can help us uplift that work, we're just seeing amazing results. The energy of it has just grown tremendously, and it's very satisfying because we want to be of service. And I know you know this isn't one of the greatest moments when you know that you've really served a client or a person that you're doing business with. You know you've done a good job. There's something within us that just really resonates with that. And so we get to pay attention to that. One thing that I sometimes do, honestly, is I keep a file called fan mail. And when someone writes me a really heartfelt gratitude for a class they were in, or sometimes it's just something that we talked about that really served them, I'm not looking to use it to market and to say, oh, how can I put this out there so people can know what a great job I'm doing. No, I stick it away. And in those times when I'm not feeling so faith-filled, when I feel like I'm not doing the best job I could, when I'm feeling discouraged, when I'm feeling as though maybe the work I'm doing isn't really making a difference, I take out that file and I just make myself read a few of those fan letters. Because the truth is that there's great satisfaction in the work that we do. And sometimes when we're in that space, when we're being faithless, we forget that I have this many customers or clients or people I've worked with that loved what I did with them. And I'm focused on the one or two problems I'm having, challenges I'm having, or I'm going through a dry patch where I don't have any sense that there's new business coming. And here's a more practical suggestion that I have that also could be kind of woo-woo. I had a friend who was a real estate agent at one point in my church, and she was very prolific, sold a lot of houses, made a lot of money, very abundant. And then at one point, her business just dried up. And she was very, very shocked. What's going on? She'd get a lot of referrals and it just dried up. And it wasn't like a short patch. It was a number of months where it just was dried up, and the market was good and houses were selling and things were still happening very well in the market. And so she was very frustrated. And one day she came home and she opened her file drawer to look at her clients, because she thought, well, maybe I'll reach out to some of my clients and see if I can get some referrals. And the drawer was jam-packed full of files. And she looked at that jam-packed drawer and she said, that's not right. So she took some of those files of people that she'd worked with, say maybe 3 years or more, and she took them out of her active drawer and she put them in her long-term clients drawer, and she made space in her active file drawer. She closed the drawer, took a deep breath, and said, now I have room for more clients. And her phone started ringing. It was a little subtle thing. And what we talked about after that was sometimes there's an energy of clutter with our business. There's an energy of not managing those little details. And people will tell you from a business standpoint, you need to manage those details. You need to keep your clients' files clear. You need to keep, all the things you might need to keep track of. But it's really also about making space for new customers, designating a drawer that is empty, that is the file drawer where every business or client you work with goes in there, and when it gets full, making room and literally telling yourself, I have willingness. Watching the conversations that we have about, I'm so busy, I'm too busy. See, you don't get to say I'm too busy and then have more clients show up, do you? So it's like these ways that we kind of unconsciously maybe sabotage ourselves that are not filled with faith. And so there's an opportunity to have greater faith, dealing with any sense of doubts or unworthiness, which I've already addressed. Here's one thing I want to talk about around having great faith. It has to do with competition. There is a business practice, of course, in marketing and other practices of knowing who your competition is, knowing what their book of business is, knowing what their territory is, that sort of thing. And that's good business practice. But here's the what might be woo-woo practice. Pray for their success. Because I'll tell you what, praying for their success is no different than praying for your success. To be in that space where I said earlier, I can say, hey, I'm not the only one who does construction in the whole Metro Denver area. And there's so many people who want to do construction, and I want us all to be successful. And I want us all to be of service. And I want us all to be abundant. And if I know particular businesses that are my quote competition, I'm going to spend time every day blessing them. I'm going to work cooperatively with them. I'll tell you, I have loved going to fairs and events that were co-sponsored by businesses in the same industry. And I will bless them and support them, take their cards, refer them like crazy, because any business or business person that is willing to do that, to me, is acting in cooperation and collaboration for the good of us all, versus going within and just owning my stuff. This is my business. I want the most of it. And feeling that competitive, well, why are they getting more people than me? Why is their business bigger than me? Why do they have? That is a no-win track of thought at all. But the winning track is to recognize and honor and have faith that we can all be successful. I've been out, I was telling Jackie this morning, I've been out guest speaking this summer, so I haven't been around as much at Mile High. I don't know if anybody noticed or not, but I haven't been there that much. And I have loved going to our other centers and blessing them and loving on them and supporting them and lifting them up and praying with them and just being with them like an ambassador of good. I'm like Glinda the Good Witch going in to all these communities and all over Colorado. Mostly did go speak at a conference in California, but mostly in Colorado. And I've just loved. They are, quote, our competition, right? But they are. We want them all to be successful. We want them all to be thriving. And we can all have that same desire. And the last thing I'll say before we're going to do a process around this one, rejection. A good business person, as I said earlier, learns to deal with rejection, learns to understand that rejection is redirection. Rejection is redirection. The client that rejects you, it means that from a spiritual standpoint, you're not their person and they are not yours. Has anybody here ever done business with a person where it went really bad and they were horrible and mean and rude and challenging? Anybody here? Anybody? Yeah, a few people, right? So when you get rejected, could you possibly assume that it might be that they're one of those people that just aren't a match for you? And that because you're choosing to do business in a certain way that's loving and kind and filled with integrity, that's just not what's going to happen. And so rejection is redirection, learning to watch how we get triggered by that. And of course, being ethical was my last thing. Always making ethical choices, being ethical with your money, being ethical with how you do business. So I want to do something that probably would seem very woo-woo in the world, mostly because it came from a very woo-woo source, and it is from Abraham Hicks, whom I adore. It's the 17-second process. So we're going to just do this in the last few minutes that we have. And so, Jackie, you're going to want to move to one of these tables. And what you're going to do with the people at your table is I'm going to ask you right now to just take a minute and think about something that you'd like to have happen in your work life. And if you're not working, I know one of you retired, a few of you, what you'd like to have happen next in some realm of your life. And in fact, I don't even think it has to be work life, any area of your life. And something that you can see and you can describe to the people at your table. That a successful step right now would be that I bring in 5 more customers in the next 10 days or whatever. Just pick something, okay? And so what you're going to do very quickly, you're not going to tell a story right now. You're just going to go around the table and you're going to share with your table what that thing is, okay? You ready? Go. Everybody done? No. Okay, keep going. Go quickly. Go quickly. You should. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Now each one of you is going to get 17 seconds for the group to focus on you with your area. So if I had said, hey, here at Mile High Church, we want to increase attendance within the next 2 months by 20%. Then for 17 seconds, you all talk to me as though that's already done. If I was at your table, you'd be going, wow, wasn't it great to see so many people at Mile High that Sunday? And somebody else might say, yeah, it feels like the energy is really amazing and strong. And so you're just sitting there receiving while everyone else at the table is talking about you as though that thing is already done. Okay? So decide right now who's going to go first at your table. Okay? And if you need a reminder of the thing, but I'm literally going to time you. You literally have 17 seconds to talk about that person's desire that they want to make happen. Okay? Everybody know what the first person's is? Okay, go. Okay, stop. Take a deep breath, especially the person who we were just talking about. Move to the next person. Okay, everybody know what that person's goal is? All right, go.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, she knew. Yeah. She's been great.
Okay, stop. Take a deep breath. Go on to the next person, number 3. All right, you guys got it all clear? You ready? Go.
Allison, you're an animal.
If you're up. No.
Okay, stop. Okay. Those of you who have 4 people at your table, person number 4, ready to go? Go.
I can't believe.
Great, done. Okay, take a deep breath. This is a faith-building activity. So if you have people in your life, it might make sense to say to them every once in a while, already done. Let's have a conversation. Imagine ourselves in time and space right there where we're talking about how great it is that we've accomplished this thing in our lives. And just spend, she says 17 seconds is enough. If you can feel it, maybe it launches the chemistry in your body, in your brain, in your mind. It launches the consciousness. It puts you on focus and on track. It's one of the most powerful things that we can do is to talk about ourselves and our business and our work and what we want to accomplish in a happy and positive way as we work on dealing with any negative drag that might be happening in our choices and in our life. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you for playing, and I yield the floor back to your chair.
Do we have any questions?
Oh, yeah.